All right, here at sun-splashed Nippert Stadium on a Wednesday afternoon. Practice wrapping up as the team prepares for the homecoming meeting with the UConn Huskies, 4:30 on Saturday. He's Tim Adams. I'm Chad Brendel, BearcatJournal.com. And Tim, the boss has put you in charge. You get to pick the quarterback.
Yeah, he is. He's been toying with me the last 2 days.
The important question: who's under center come Saturday at 4:30, or standing 5 yards behind center, however you want to look at it.
Well, I would give the edge to the young kid. I think Hayden Moore would be, if it were my decision, he would be the guy.
It is your decision.
That's what he's told me.
The running joke all week is Coach Tuberville has tasked him with picking the starting quarterback and then giving him an incredibly hard time about every opinion he's had in the process.
I can't get it right no matter what. Which is really perfect.
Yeah, I mean,
as a coach.
UConn coming in, familiar face, obviously, Bob Diaco, who was the defensive coordinator here for 1 year under Brian Kelly, the undefeated season. Much maligned while he was here, honestly.
The worst interview I ever had was going into Bob Diaco. He'd just been hired as a defensive coordinator. Kelly okayed me going in there. And, of course, Diaco, I can't think of the guy who worked for at Virginia, the old school guy that ended up going to Georgia Tech. Anyway, he didn't really like the media very much. So I go in there, and every other question was, well, you'll have to ask the head coach. And he wouldn't answer anything that I was. It was so frustrating.
Now he won't answer anything. All he'll say is that they should be undefeated.
He hates the media.
He doesn't feel that UConn has lost a game, even though they have. Yeah, he doesn't feel that they've actually lost a game. None of their opponents have beaten them. Only UConn has defeated themselves.
Well, you could say that about almost every game, no matter what it is.
But they actually are playing better than most anticipated. And a lot of that is that they're getting good quarterback play from the NC State transfer.
Yeah, I had them before the season. I thought they were the weakest team in the league, and I thought he would have trouble bringing that program back at all. But he's done a good job. He's a guy that knows defense, and you're right. Brian Sheriffs has been a great addition to their team. I think he's thrown for over 200 yards 4 times maybe this year so far. He had 365 passing yards against USF and 100 yards rushing against USF last week, and almost broke the school record for total yards. I think it was Casey Cochran, who was there, I think was the quarterback 5-6 years ago, was 1 yard better than Sheriff's was. So he's given them some playmaking ability on the offensive side of the football, but I think they're going to want to run the football first against Cincinnati, especially if they can get the edge like BYU did against Cincinnati last week.
Well, and he gives them that dual threat edge, which really as a defense can put you on your heels.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And they've got that Newsom kid, Arkeel Newsom, I think his name is, that does a pretty good job. He's a sophomore. I think he was Player of the Year in Connecticut 2 years ago.
It sounds really difficult.
Yeah, well, but he's not. I don't think he's a bad player. They have a huge offensive line. You know, they thought BYU was big. These guys are just as big. I think 4 of the 5 are 6'6" or taller. All of them are over 300 pounds.
They've always come in here with
big lines, and they've also when you're so used to seeing spread offenses, you're not going to see much of that this week. In fact, it's not uncommon for them to maybe use 2 tights, and both their tight ends are going to be 6'5" or 6'6", 250 plus. So this is going to be a situation where they're going to have to stop the run. Anthony McClung's over here, and he heard that. He's looking over here like, are you kidding me?
Defensively, obviously, Diaco's staple. Are they running the vaunted 3-4 that he brought to Cincinnati?
They're lining up with 4 and 3 big line. All their linebackers are about, the smallest one's 230.
People eat well in Connecticut, I
hear.
They
got 2 and one of the shocking things to me in looking over their numbers, one of their defensive tackles is a kid. Well, both of them are 300 plus, but one of them leads them in sacks with 3.5 as a defensive tackle, and is second on the team in tackles for loss with 4. I think the top guy is a defensive end with 5. So after seeing what Bronson Kafusi did last week at BYU.
How good is he?
He's very good, and he's a guy we talked about, and 6'8", 280 pounds, very athletic, and he really created a lot of problems for the Bearcats, as did some of those linebackers, like Taki had a good game against
Your
them.
scouting report on BYU defense was spectacular.
Right there. And the safety also was very good too. Big kid, hit hard, really gave Max Morrison a real shot near the end of that game. And I really think, as one coach told me, the sideline, UC sideline, felt like it was like a feeding frenzy at that point in the game. The crowd was still in it. 60,000 fans were still there. They're all jacked up for, laying some wood. They know the Bearcats had a pass, and it was a tough time. You throw the altitude in there as well, and it was just made for a horrible ending.
And really, I mean, you have to. I was really impressed with the way that defense schemed, because it seemed like they brought a million blitzes early, different looks, blitzes from different spots, and used that to wear down that offensive line. Because in the fourth quarter, BYU only brought 4, and that's the first time this year that we've really seen the Cincinnati offensive line kind of on skates for an extended period.
I think it's the first time I've seen it in probably 10 years of being covering the team. They have that many sacks now. When Coach Tuberville talked about his press conference, he said maybe the offensive line was responsible for 3 or 4 of those tight ends. Some of them was the running back, and some of them was Hayden Moore holding on to the football too long. And
some of it was Kafusi.
Yeah, he certainly got Ryan Leahy on going backwards on one of his bull rushes. But one of the coaches, in talking with one of the staffers today, they also talked to me about Hayden sort of lost his cool in that situation, and that there were some times when he didn't do what he's been taught to do, the game plan. So everybody talks about the game plan. The guys have to execute the game plan. And sometimes it's hard to execute when you're in a situation. And if you're having trouble with oxygen, that makes it even hard to think. And so I think Hayden maybe struggled with all those things and didn't play as well as what we would have liked to have seen. And quite frankly, what we've seen out of him against Memphis and Miami of Florida.
So you expect Hayden Moore to be back under center. You expect the Cincinnati offense to get back on track after a rough fourth quarter in Provo.
I think that's going to be a tough game. I think this is going to be a rough game for him. I think Connecticut's, like I said, way better than I anticipated them being. I don't think Cincinnati's still healthy. We talked about Johnny Holton being hurt last week, and coaches will give you the verbiage about he's 96 or 97, but there are often times when I'll hear a number like 80%.
Right.
And when you see Holton and you see Chris Moore and you see Mikael McKay not have a catch against a team that, quite frankly, wasn't as fast as this team. There's some problems, and let's face it, the truth of the matter is that all those guys, they're deep guys, they're speed guys, and if you take that away from them, they're not nearly as good. So I think this is going to be a tough game. I think the UC defense will have to play well. I think they're going to need to shut down, and the defensive ends are not going to be able to give up the edge. They got to keep those guys in between the defensive ends.
I know, obviously, we're not going to get into names. Health still a bit of a concern.
It's better. Okay. I thought one guy would not be here. I'll even say the name. I didn't think Morrison was going to play. He took the big hit right there in that last series, and it was, from what I heard, there was speculation that he may be out this game. But he's out here today running. He's such a gutty kid. Say what you want about him. He may not be the biggest or the strongest or the fastest, but that kid's a gamer. And I know Tommy thinks he's had a terrific year this year for them as a wide receiver. He's out here today. Another guy, Silverberry, was banged up again. And, people keep looking at him and saying, where's he been? He's playing, and he's playing through adversity right now. And so, I think most everybody will be out there, other than the guys we know are Grant Coleman's. Most starting cornerbacks aren't going to be there. 3/4 of your starting secondary will not be there.
And that was a secondary that.
Well, actually, Jones is practicing there. He is right there.
See, this is why we do it live now.
Yeah.
You can do it during practice. Things pop up. So let's get your prediction. As they're running the 2-minute drill, we're about to have some work to do here. What's your prediction on the game? And see, you're not tied to picking them to lose.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. You're free from that superstition.
Yeah, and the other advantage was those two games were the two games I thought they were going to lose anyway.
Right.
But I thought they would beat Connecticut. I still think they'll beat Connecticut, but I think it's going to be a dogfight. I think the rest of the way out is going to be tough. For every game, you better come ready to play. But I'm picking the Bearcats.
The AAC is, this is one thing I wanted to get to before we get out of here on this. It's kind of funny because everybody for 2 years wanted to take shots at the conference about how much it sucked. And now it's pretty good, top to bottom. I mean, the teams all the way through are showing that they've all put some talent together, and nobody likes that either.
Yeah, you got 3 ranked teams in Temple, Memphis, and Houston. You've got a Navy team that I think has only lost once, and that was in Notre Dame. You've got a Cincinnati team that's lost 3, but took Temple down to the wire, took Memphis down to the wire, and lost in the last 8 minutes against BYU. And you've got a team like SMU that's putting up points. You've got a team at Tulsa with a good quarterback that's putting up points that are dangerous teams. And East Carolina has surprised me. They've been able to play people tough. But one thing about this Connecticut team, you look at their scores. They're 3-3, I think it is, but they've been in every game. Yep. I think their biggest margin of defeat may have been the BYU thing, and they were in that game for 3 quarters themselves.
Yeah, they were right there.
So, this league has been, everybody keeps saying, it's not very good. I think it's pretty good. I actually like watching the teams. Other than, Tulane is pretty bad right now, and I'm not sold on Tanner Lee as a quarterback anyway. I have trouble watching them. But a lot of the other teams, I don't mind watching them.
Speaking of, I think Cincinnati wins by more than 10.
Good.
I have a good feeling about this one. I have a feeling the guys are gonna take that experience out in Provo, come back home for homecoming. I like the 4:30 start time. I think they're gonna come out motivated. Now the interesting thing is gonna be the weather, because there's about a 90% chance of rain as of today.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a little wet. Maybe that calls for more running the football, and the game ends up being a little closer than I expect. But I think Hayden Moore comes back out and picks up where he left off before he headed to Provo, and I think this is a game that I feel pretty good about Cincinnati getting things together and getting on track to make a run towards the end of the season.
And if there's a good thing about his performance last week, it was that he didn't throw an interception.
Yeah.
I think that's big because interceptions and turnovers have been the reason that Cincinnati's 3-3 right now.
And especially with all the pressure that they got on him. Yeah. Maybe he held it too long.
He did fumble 3 times.
Yeah, he did fumble 3 times. Maybe he held it too long a time or two, but he didn't throw it to the other team and allow them to change momentum, shift momentum real quick that way. So.
And they're facing a team that's pretty good at getting takeaways.
Yeah.
I think these guys are averaging. I think they've got 17 maybe. I'm not quite sure if it's that many in 6 games, but it's the 2 to 3 area, which is a nice range to be in, especially when you compare it to Cincinnati's defense, which is about 1 a game. Yeah.
All right, so we both are on the Bearcats, and I think it's going to be a good Saturday afternoon for homecoming. Don't forget, basketball scrimmage at 1 o'clock. We will have full coverage of that, as well as full coverage of the Bearcats.
And there's a baseball, red and black series game.
What time is that?
I'm not sure what time it is. I'd have to go back and look. I'll get it on the March shot board, but they've got a game too.
Basketball at 1, football at 4:30, baseball somewhere in there as well. So it's going to be a busy day on campus. Make sure you come down, have a good time. And so for a Bearcat win, I'm predicting a basketball win.
Yeah, the black or the red.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what the team makeup is, so I'm predicting a basketball win. But that's going to wrap it up. He's Tim Adams. I'm Chad Brendel, BearcatJournal.com.
Everybody think that decoy, that's why you got that.